Hi and welcome back. My name is Nicole with morningchores.com, and today I'm giving you a tutorial on how to make your very own homemade yogurt. So let's chat a little bit about why I would want to make yogurt at home. And that's a question that I feel like everyone's asking right now, especially when you can just go to the grocery store and buy yogurt for yourself. I know here in the United States, I've been in a couple of grocery stores where there are entire aisles of yogurt. There's just so many options, from low fat to full fat. You have dairy free, you have all the different flavorings, you have sugar free, Greek yogurt. I mean, the sky is the limit when it comes to yogurt. So there's definitely plenty of options at the grocery store. But I do think it is good to learn how to do this at home, and here's why. The first reason is it's healthier. You can have more control over the ingredients that you use to make the yogurt. You're not adding all the preservatives and all the food colorings and all those different things that are just completely unnecessary. You can make it organic. I like to use raw milk that's straight from the farm. So you're getting not only a more nutrient dense product at the end, but you're also getting something that doesn't have all those extra preservatives and additives. And then also too, in my case, because I'm using raw milk, I'm getting more of a live food. So there's actually live probiotics in there and digestive enzymes. And there is with the yogurt you buy from the store as well, but that yogurt is pasteurized, so some of that is killed off in the pasteurization process. Whereas here at home, we're doing it in a little bit more of a natural state, so you're getting more of those probiotics and digestive enzymes in the food or in the yogurt. Another great reason to make yogurt at home is it's a good skill to know how to do. I think it's really important to know how to cook from scratch, to know how to take something simple like milk and turn it into yogurt, because there might be a situation where you can't get to the store, or maybe the store is just all out of yogurt. I don't know if that'll happen, but hey, you never know. So I do think it's good to have these skill sets on hand so that if there comes the time when you need it, you know how to do it. And the last reason I think it's good to make your own yogurt at home is it's a really good experience. I think it's good to see what it takes to make a food product. I think, it's so easy for us to just go to the store, grab what we want, come home and eat it without really thinking about what it takes to make that food. And I think this is a great activity to do with kids. I know I say that a lot in my videos, but I think showing kids what it takes to make food and also showing them where their food comes from and then just involving them in the kitchen, it's just a great learning experience, and it's a way to make some really great memories. For our ingredient list for making yogurt, the first thing you need is milk, and it's preferable that you use whole milk. 2% is okay. I've never used it. I've always used whole raw milk. This is milk straight from the farm, and it works great. You can use organic or regular milk. I would highly recommend you use organic, but you can also use regular milk as well. The next ingredient you need is yogurt. Yes, I said yogurt. You need to use yogurt as your starter to inoculate the milk to make your batch of yogurt. So you can buy yogurt starters that are specific for yogurt making, and I'll link those in the description box below. But you can just buy yogurt from the store to make yogurt. So, and we're not going to use this whole thing. We're just going to use maybe a couple tablespoons per jar. But I would really encourage that you buy organic or grass-fed at least, but you really use any kind of yogurt, preferably either plain or vanilla. I wouldn't use the flavored yogurts, but the really key thing in figuring out what type of yogurt to buy to make your yogurt is you need to look back at the ingredients list, and usually listed under the ingredients is a list of cultures, and it's kind of hard to see here, but right here they list all the cultures that they used to make this yogurt, or that's in the yogurt. And you can always tell a good quality yogurt by how many cultures are in it. So this one it looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I believe it has 4. So a good quality yogurt should have at least 3. I've seen some that have as many as 5. So that is what you want to look for. That will ensure that your milk gets inoculated properly. If you buy a yogurt that only has one strain of culture, it's just not as strong and it's not going to do as well. And if you're going to go to all this trouble to make yogurt, you want to make sure that it's going to work. So I use this brand and it works great. I've used a couple other brands. You just want to make sure it has more than 3 strains of cultures in it. Now, if you like plain yogurt, then the milk and the yogurt culture are all you need and you're done. It's really simple. But I'm also going to show you how to make vanilla yogurt for my people that like flavored yogurt. And I like to use pure 100% maple syrup. And I also like to use vanilla extract.
For supplies, you need a stock pot, a kitchen thermometer. This isn't necessary, but it does help, especially for first-time yogurt makers. A large bowl, possibly 2 or 3, a mesh strainer, a cheesecloth or some type of cotton cloth, glass jars and lids, an assortment of measuring cups and spoons and spatulas. This isn't necessary, but it is optional, a hand mixer, and lastly, a cooler. The first step is to pour 1/2 gallon of milk into a stock pot and heat on medium heat. We want to heat the milk to roughly 180 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, heat the milk just before it begins to boil.
While our milk is heating on the stove, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the incubation process. So once our milk is heated to the correct temperature, we will inoculate it with our yogurt culture, and then we need to incubate it. And basically what that means is we need to ferment the milk with the yogurt culture in a controlled temperature for a period of time, usually 8 to 12 hours. So it's really important that you put your milk that's been inoculated with the yogurt culture in some type of container that is insulated so it can stay at a consistent temperature. So today I'm going to show you the cooler method. I like to incubate my yogurt in the cooler because it's insulated. It works really, really well, and most people have a cooler lying around their homes somewhere, and if you don't, you can easily obtain one. So this is a really easy method, and that's what I'm going to show you today. But the other ways that you can incubate your yogurt is using a crock pot. You can also use your oven, and basically you just use the pilot light. You turn the pilot light on, or if you have a warm setting, you can turn your warm setting on. You put your yogurt in the oven and then you shut that warming setting off, and it stays nice and warm in there. So that's another option. You can even go as far as buying a yogurt incubator, and it's basically a little contraption that sits on your counter and you plug it in, and it keeps it the right consistency for the right amount of time. So if you don't want to mess with coolers or crock pots or anything like that, you can easily purchase one of those. The last option I would like to suggest is using an Instapot. I know a lot of people are using Instapots these days. I personally don't have one, but I know a lot of people that use them, and you can actually make yogurt in your Instapot. So if you check your manual out, I'm sure it will give you instructions, or you can find instructions online.
Now I'm going to fill the tea kettle with water and set it to boil on the stove. This will be used later in the process.
While we continue to wait for our milk to heat on the stove, I'm going to prepare my yogurt jars. So all I'm doing is adding roughly 2 tablespoons of yogurt to each jar. You want to make sure that you're using clean jars, and preferably glass. That's kind of my favorite go-to. I would not recommend plastic or metal. Glass is really the best.
To speed up the cooling process, I place the bowls in an ice bath. Just make sure that you don't walk away, because you could miss your opportunity to inoculate the milk. We want to cool the milk down to 110 degrees Fahrenheit for inoculation. If you don't have a thermometer, cool it down to the equivalent of a baby's bath. As the milk cools down, a hard layer forms on the top. Skim this off with a spoon and remove. Otherwise, you'll have hard clumps in your yogurt, and nobody wants that. Next, pour your milk into your yogurt jars. Gently stir with a spatula or wooden spoon. Place the lids on top of the jars and put the jars in the cooler. Fill the bottom of the cooler with 2 to 3 inches of boiling water. Close the lid and allow to incubate for 12 to 48 hours. The longer you incubate the milk, the more sour the yogurt will be. I like to incubate my yogurt for roughly 12 hours. Once yogurt is finished incubating, remove from cooler. Line a clean bowl with a strainer and lay a cheesecloth or cotton cloth in the strainer. Pour yogurt into cloth-lined strainer and allow to strain for 1.5 hours. For Greek yogurt, strain for 2 to 4 hours. What we're doing is separating the yogurt from the whey. Once the yogurt has strained for the amount of time desired, transfer yogurt to a clean bowl. Here's a glimpse at what the consistency looks like at this stage in the process. Here is what the whey looks like. The whey can be used for any recipe that calls for liquid. Chickens love to eat the whey too. Before the next step, I'm going to place the yogurt in the fridge for a few hours just to help it firm up.
Now that our yogurt has sat in the fridge for about 4 hours, it's given it an opportunity to thicken up. There's just something about allowing it to sit in a cold temperature. It just really gets it nice and thick. So you can see the consistency here in this video here. If you like that consistency, then your yogurt is finished. You don't need to do anything more to it to reach the correct consistency. However, if the yogurt at this stage is still too runny for you, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do to thicken it up at this stage. So it's not a complete total loss. I understand it can be frustrating when you've gone to all that work and it's just still too runny. So I'm going to show you a couple of things you can do to really get it nice and thick so that it's enjoyable to eat. The first option you have for thickening up your yogurt at this stage is adding in some heavy whipping cream and then mixing it in either a stand mixer, or I have this electric handheld mixer, and just mixing it in really well. I do that quite often and it does get it nice and thick, especially when you put it back in the fridge and you allow it to reset in the fridge for a few hours. I have actually made some homemade whipped cream, which all whipped cream is taking heavy whipping cream and whipping it with your handheld mixer for about 5-10 minutes, and it turns into whipped cream. So it's essentially the same thing, it's just a thicker version of it. So I already have some of this made up, so what I'm going to do is mix some of this in here with it and just fold it in, and that should create some thickness, especially after I put it back in the fridge to reset. So now that I have my yogurt the consistency that I like and my family prefers, if you like plain whole fat yogurt, then your yogurt is finished. This is done. So you can transfer this to an airtight container. I prefer to store my yogurt in glass, and you can even put it in those individual glass containers so it's a quick grab and go snack or breakfast. But then that's it, you're done. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to make vanilla yogurt. So to make your vanilla yogurt, all that I use is vanilla extract, and then I like to sweeten my yogurt with maple syrup, as I mentioned earlier in the video. I just think that it incorporates better in the liquid. I've tried to do sugar in the past, and I find that the sugar doesn't really absorb into the yogurt, and so it's kind of gritty, and when you're eating the yogurt you get this gritty feeling in your mouth, and I don't particularly enjoy that. So I prefer the maple syrup. You could also use agave syrup. Honey works as well, but it's kind of another one of those where it just does not mix well into the yogurt. So you might get, extra honey in this bite and not so much in the next bite. So I really like syrup the best, and it really has just a wonderful flavor that pairs really well with the vanilla.
Add half a cup of pure maple syrup and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You can add more if you want to, but I would at least begin here. Gently stir into yogurt. Store the yogurt in a glass container. The yogurt will keep up to 2 weeks in the fridge. Thank you for joining us in today's video. Click on the link below to check out morningchores.com, and we'll see you on the next one.